As July
No
4th,
worries.
it's important that we remember our veterans who suffer from the invisible wounds of war, like post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. Now, PTSD results in debilitating symptoms, including nightmares and intrusive thoughts related to trauma, and is often associated with anxiety, depression, substance abuse disorder, suicidal ideation. Why does it sound most people in the US? In fact, suicide rates within the military and veteran communities have reached alarming levels, increasing by 41% from 2015 to 2020. Unfortunately, treating PTSD is not easy. Joining us today to discuss the issue is Dr. Lori Sutton, a psychiatrist, retired military officer, and brigadier general who served in the United States Army. Thank you for your service. And Wade, a U.S. veteran who developed PTSD. Thank you again, Wade, and participated in a clinical trial of an investigational treatment. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Thanks for having
Thanks.
us.
Thank you for
Thank you
joining.
so much.
So, Dr. Sutton, while most people have heard of post-traumatic stress disorder, can you detail what it is and who is impacted?
Absolutely. First of all, it's important to understand PTSD is a human condition. It affects over 13 million Americans, not just military service members or veterans. It affects our ability to relate in trusting relationships. So it affects our work, it affects our community, it affects our families. There's this ripple effect. And it also can be very stigmatizing, which can prevent folks from reaching out to get the help that's there. This is such an important topic. I'm so glad we're having this conversation.
Now, Doctor, what are the challenges and unmet needs for those suffering from PTSD?
Absolutely. You know, this suicide epidemic among veterans and among all of society actually makes this such a pressing issue. The existing PTSD treatments, they've helped some folks, but not nearly enough. There's limited improvement. There's high dropout rates, and there's not been a new drug therapy approved by the FDA in over 20 years. So this is a historic moment. We got to make it count.
Now, Doctor, have there been any advancements in this new research on alternative treatment options?
Absolutely. Today we're here to talk about MDMA, which is an investigational drug, a new treatment that's currently under review by the FDA. MDMA is a pharmaceutical manufactured drug that is delivered in a clinical setting combined with talking therapy. This is so important because veterans who have not in particular responded to the existing treatments like Wade can really participate in this research, and it's so vitally important. They need a new treatment for PTSD that will help them with this debilitating condition.
Now, Wade, what can you tell us about your experience with PTSD?
So, like the doctor in general said, PTSD can come from any trauma, not just war. So, my experience with PTSD started with Hurricane Katrina, actually, not combat. And then after Katrina, I went into the military, and it just kind of kept building. And the best way I can describe living with PTSD is you're just constantly anticipating something bad's going to happen. You're always waiting for the next trauma to occur, and you're preparing for it. And for me, it made me, impossible to relax. I was hypervigilant, and being in a crowd was exhausting. So it kind of took the joy out of going out, and it just really sapped away the excitement I had for just living. I had spent 10 years trying different therapies, drugs, medications, and it really just kind of kept things the same. It stopped them from getting worse, but it didn't really make things better either. Then I got lucky, and I was in this new drug trial for MDMA-assisted therapy, and it worked wonders.
Wade, you brought my curiosity up a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about your first experience when you said Hurricane Katrina. Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So I'm originally from South Louisiana, south of New Orleans. If you believe that you can be further south than New Orleans, and it's actually where the eye of Katrina made landfall, and it kind of just destroyed the whole town. So my lost our childhood, lost my family home, parents lost their businesses. We pretty much lost everything. Like I don't have any baby photos anymore. It's just kind of devastating. And that by itself was probably enough. But then shortly after that, it was one thing after another. My grandmother got diagnosed with cancer, then passed away. My mom got diagnosed with cancer, survived. And then I had to leave to fulfill my military obligation. And I had to leave my family behind knowing the struggles they're going through. So that was very, very hard for me to accept that I couldn't be there for them. And then I went into the military where I went to Afghanistan. So it was just a lot of little things building up on top of each other.
Wade, I wish you could share your strength with a lot of other people. There's a lot of strength there.
Yeah.
Definitely. Wade, what was your experience in the clinical trial for this new investigational treatment, and how are you doing today? It looks like you're doing really good.
I'm doing great. And my experience from the drug trial was fantastic. I can't speak highly enough, but it is my personal experience. This is still a drug that's being reviewed and looked at. And the important thing is it's MDMA-assisted therapy. It's not just a miracle drug that you pop a pill and everything's great. It's drugs and therapy combined. So you're administered this drug with therapists in a room. You're constantly going to therapy before, during, and after the dosing with this medication. And the way it works is kind of the drug opens up your brain a little bit, and it kind of takes away a lot of the weight that you may be carrying. So it kind of gives you the space to re-examine some things that you've probably held on to for a long time. And then the therapists are there to kind of give you tools to kind of make sense of things and to help process things and, kind of unravel those knots that you may have had and been carrying for a long time. And for me, it worked wonders, and it helped me undo all this trauma I'd been carrying for so long from a variety of sources. And not only that, I experienced new traumas after that, and the tools I acquired in this drug trial, which was only 3 months long from 3 years ago, I was able to have those tools at the ready to help me overcome these new traumas. And that kind of made me very, very hopeful that I could overcome anything that life would throw at me. And from that, I was kind of changed my perspective on, instead of being afraid to move forward in life, I actually look forward to experiencing it and having a good time.
Dr. Sutton, I'm listening to Wade talk here, and I keep thinking about the trauma that everyday people go through, whether it's underserved areas, mass shootings. It's just crazy. Any suggestions for the general public?
Absolutely. First of all, to remind all of us, we are not alone. There are resources available. I would refer folks to the ptsd.va.gov website. There are resources online, advocacy papers, veteran service organizations. But if you're in crisis, and this is really critical, call 988. If you're a veteran, press 1. If not, just stay on the line, and you will talk to a real person who can connect you to resources that fit your need. And that's what's so important. And I want to thank you for raising awareness, for having and continuing this conversation, because it means the world to me and my fellow veterans like Wade. Thank you.
Thank you to both you and Wade. I've been speaking with Dr. Laurie Sutton, a psychiatrist, retired military officer, brigadier general, who served in the U.S. Army, and Wade, thank you again, U.S. Army veteran. Again, thank for your service on both of you, and thank you for the information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.